Hi guys, it is time for March 1964. Now, where we left off in February, just to give you a little recap, is that Grandma finds out she's pregnant with me, and then her grandma Annie dies. And, to be 16 and have your grandma die, and also find out you're pregnant, and her parents probably didn't know yet. So she's kind of carrying a lot on her right now. And that's kind of where we pick up her story at the moment, just because it seems to be like her story. And that's why I wanted to start here, so we could gain a little bit of perspective of what her life was like, and the beginning of mine. So that's where we start the march off with. They just get done burying Grandma Annie, and she's got this burden. And who knows? I'm picturing her, kind of the family getting together and grieving over their grandma, and inside she knows she's got this secret, and I'm not sure that anybody knows. I'm not even sure that her friends know. So I can imagine that that's a really tough deal. And then to show up at school every day and kind of carry on, quote unquote, normally, I would imagine that would be hard. But anyway, so I start my research on March, and the first thing I found was more Vietnam news. And I found this stuff really interesting because it's not something that they knew at the time. And that's why history is so cool, to go back and then find out things that people weren't getting in the news, because especially back then, news is not like it is now. I mean, you could read about something that happened a week ago in the newspaper. At this point, not even basically daily. They're waiting a week at a time. But they found, what we found out is that on March 4th, President Johnson's advisors they were talking war. They were talking, let's send, lots of troops over there, and let's just start, attacking North Vietnam. And President Johnson didn't want to do that. He was like, no, we have an election coming up at the end of the year. Let's just wait until the election. Now, as being a military mom, I know that you hate to think that it's that political, but war is political. It's all about politics. And, you can hardly blame Johnson for wanting to wait. But who knows? We'll never know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. And we still don't even know what he did. We're going to find out. But at the moment, Joint Chief of Staffs, all the, people, all his aides and advisors are saying, let's just go do this now. He says no. So that's the only March Vietnam War news we've gotten, that I could find anyway. So on the 6th, now we just found out that Muhammad Ali became the heavyweight champ of the world. Well, what I didn't know is that at that moment, he was not Muhammad Ali. He was Cassius Clay. Now, on March 6th, he officially changes his name to Muhammad Ali. So I thought that was kind of cool. He did it after, and I don't know if any of you knew that, but that's what happened. But then on March 17th, Grandma's mom, my Nana Miller, turned 49. So I was like, wow, okay, so I'm 52. She was 49. Grandma was her youngest, so she's 16. And that's where I just never, pictured that before, that was the age she was when Grandma found out she was pregnant with me. I don't know. I just didn't have any perspective on that. But it's kind of a cool fact to know. So by now, who knows? We don't know if she knows or not. But one thing that I do remember my mom telling me is that after Nana Miller found out that Grandma was pregnant, she had a like nervous breakdown. Now knowing that she was 49, I'm thinking she probably was going through menopause or, some kind of hormonal thing. So it's not that shocking to hear about. I've heard I used to hear some things about how sensitive she was, and now it just kind of makes a little bit more sense for me as to the stage of life that she was at, and dealing with her youngest daughter being in high school and pregnant, and they didn't have that situation with Grandma's older siblings. So, and Emmaus was a really small town back then. It wasn't like she could really not tell people. Okay, this would have been a very known thing, especially since my dad was also from Emmaus and his family was pretty well known. after and I'm not even sure you guys know this, but my grandfather was the telephone guy. So Emmaus has this very small telephone company, and it's down in the Triangle. And my grandfather was, they had one telephone man. So, like, say somebody's having issues with their telephone, they called him, and then he would show up and he'd climb up those telephone poles and he'd fix whatever was going on. And I'm not kidding. I used to see his belt, like, there you on telephone poles there used to be like these steps on the side, and it's because the telephone guy would climb up the steps on the telephone pole, fix whatever was going on. So he was really well known. Everybody knew who he was, because he was pretty important back then, to be the guy when your telephone is having issues. And that's just how it was. There was one woman secretary in the office and him. There was no AT&T going on. Okay. So this was kind of a really big deal for them. But on my grandmother's birthday, on March 17th, Rob Lowe was born. Pretty cool. I didn't know he was my age either. He looks way better. He looks tons better than I do. He's aging very well. But so that was kind of cool. So on the 21st, I Want to Hold Your Hand was the #1 song for 7 weeks, all through February, halfway through March. And then what replaces it as the #1 song? She Loves You by the Beatles. So we're being really there. The radio stations are playing Beatles nonstop. That's basically what I'm hearing from this. And then the very last thing that I found noteworthy in March of 1964 is that on the 30th, Jeopardy became a TV show. Jeopardy started in March of 1964. Is that just not crazy? Because that show is still on. Now, we know it wasn't Alex Trebek. I didn't even look the guy's name up. But I did find out that was pretty cool because it's got to be one of the longest running TV shows. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that could be the case, or at least up there in the, top 5. So that's it for March, and I can't wait to start researching April. Talk to you guys soon.